So hi everyone, thanks again for joining us today, and thank you Tessa for speaking. It's great to have you back, as I mentioned. So Tessa is a leadership consultant and executive director with the John Maxwell team. She's a certified behavioral analyst consulting using the Maxwell method of DISC, and she is passionate about helping leaders lead the way. Thanks again for your presentation, and good luck.
Thanks, Alex. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here. As Alex was asking me, I don't use PowerPoint presentations, and so I'm very much an interactive speaker. And so please engage with me in the chat as we get through this talk that I prepared for you today. So earlier, I was asking a friend of mine who manages a team of about 50 what her biggest need was. What was her biggest concern right now and challenge where she felt her team wasn't resourced to be able to move forward and pass that challenge. And she said to me, that people are feeling unappreciated on her team, especially the managers on her team. And also, they are dealing with some difficult personalities right now. If you are a leader of a team or you work on a team, are these challenges that you yourself seem to be experiencing or have been experiencing or have at any point in the past? Please let me know. Because let me just say this, most of the organizations that I work with are experiencing these same challenges, whether it's people, whether it's personalities, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Now, in order for us to move past these challenges, there's a few things that stand in our way. And I'm going to tell you, it's not knowledge, it's not skill, it's not experience, and it's not talent. So if it's not those things, what is it? It is our ability to connect with people. And so in a world that is increasingly dependent on collaboration, we need to be able to connect with people. We need to be able to understand the people we work with. We need to understand the organizations that we work with as well, and the people that we're bringing on board. It's a common misconception that only certain people are able to connect. And maybe you're watching this right now and you're like, you know what, Tessa, I am not a good connector. Well, I'm glad you're here because connection is a skill that we can all learn. And it's a skill that we must learn, especially in the workforce. If we want to improve our relationships with our team members, those that we work with, even those that we serve, we must get good at connecting with people. And here's what I know. You're not like me, and I'm not like you, which means we also have to get really great at understanding people. We need people, right? This world only works through and with other people. And so we need to be able to connect and influence people. That's just part of our job, and that's how we succeed in this world. And let me just say this, when I talk about influence, for me, that's the definition of leadership. Leadership, influence. And influence is simply getting someone to do something for you. So if you have kids and they've ever got you a coffee or a drink of water, you've influenced them to do that. And so success in our businesses, success with our team members come down to three things. How well do I lead? How well do I connect? And how well do I influence? All of this is a teachable skill, and I'm going to teach you some tools that you can use in your day-to-day, whether that's in your HR business, whether that's in the organization that you run or the job, wherever you are, you can use these skills to influence people. Now, you have to know one thing though. Humans are emotional beings at heart. We are not logical, okay? We think we're logical human beings, but we're actually very emotional human beings. Now, why is that a problem? Let me give you an example. Have you ever had someone say to you, or maybe you've experienced where you're like, that person, they push my buttons. I don't know what it is about that person. They just push my buttons, right? Or someone maybe has said to you, you know how to get her going. Why do you always do that to her? Or maybe there are certain people that you work with on your team that they just say something the wrong way, and all of a sudden this emotional storm descends upon you and you just become a different person. Something ticks, right? There's a trigger that is just let off just by their presence or maybe the way they communicate with you. You see, we often forget that each and every one of us are different. We are all different. And we're talking about diversity and inclusion and, immigrants in that panel session. And that comes into play when we're hiring, obviously. That comes into play when we're connecting with our team members. And so different things are going to be important to different people. And so if there's a leader in an organization who is really trying to get his team to deliver results, and this leader is a results-driven leader, they may think and communicate to you and the rest of the team in a way that says you need to deliver these results. But what happens if you're not driven by that? You're not motivated by that, right? If they're telling everyone to do the same. Now, when I go into organizations, I'll often have the leader say to me, Tessa, why are they not like me? Why are they not normal like me? Why are they not driven by results or driven, task-oriented people put their head down and get to work? And I'll say to them, because they're not you, right? No one is like you. You are unique, and we're all wired differently. And so we need to understand each and every one of those personalities that we work with. And if you're a leader of a team, I'm speaking to you, but I'm also speaking to you if you're not leading a team, because if you're working on a team, you also need to understand the importance of who am I working with? What makes them tick? What motivates them, right? How do I connect and how do I communicate with them? Different personalities will bring those different challenges to your team. But I guarantee if you apply what I'm going to share with you today and start to gain an understanding into the people you work with and those you serve, you are going to get the best out of your people. Now, I use a tool called DISC, and so I'm going to give you a bit of a framework that speaks to that. Now, if you have a leader or if you yourself have difficulty connecting with people, okay, again, you may think the key to getting better results out of your team is by you working harder and everyone's going to follow your lead. So what does that mean? What does that look like? You go in 20% or 30% harder, but yet your team doesn't do that, right? That can make you feel really frustrated. But if you took time, or if we take time to understand, how can I motivate my team to give me more results or better results? How can I communicate to them in a way that allows them to tap into their strengths so they can go and deliver the results that we need inside this organization? You know, I used to think that leading people was all about being the best. If I was the best leader, I can lead well. If I was able to listen to people or, speak to them, maybe I can impress them. But that's not my goal, because influence has nothing to do with impressing people. I am not here to impress you, friends, okay? I am here to connect with you, and if I connect with you, I can serve you. And that's what we need to do as leaders and teammates. Remember I said we are emotional beings, okay? So we're not logical, we're emotional. And so to understand that, we need to understand that we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, okay? So how I see the world is through this lens and this filter of the things that I've gone through that have brought me here up into this point here today. So let me illustrate that, and hopefully you'll engage with me in the chat. Have you ever seen those illusions, those pictures where I may be looking at it and I see an hourglass, and you're looking at it and you see two faces? Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, okay? Because you may be looking at that picture, and I wish I had it right now to hold it up. You may be looking at that picture and you see an hourglass. And I hold up the picture and I see two faces looking at each other. But it's the same picture. That's interesting. How are we both seeing different things if it's the same picture? That must mean that the difference is in the individual. And that's true. If the difference is in you and I, the average adult has had things happen to them, which has allowed them to filter what they see, what they do, what they hear, how they behave, how they communicate in the workplace based on these three things. Number one, your environment, who you surround yourself with, who speaks into your life. That's going to affect how you look, how you communicate, and how you interpret life around you. What about your mentors, your parents, the people who raised you? Completely different than how I was raised, completely different than someone who has come over from another country. And then finally, what about heredity? That makes a huge difference as well. So you see, we don't see the world as it is. We don't see our teammates as they are. We don't approach our jobs always as they are. We approach them how we view things. And that's what has to change. The implications for this is enormous in the workplace, but even more so in our communication. You see, because we see all the world around us differently, which is just a simple illustration, we also have different values. We have different beliefs. I mean, the conversation right now is all about diversity and respecting those things. We have different expectations, but we're also motivated for very different reasons. And so if we want to influence people, we want to make sure that we're communicating with them in a way that speaks their language. And so instead of asking, if you're an employer or maybe you're working for an organization who is saying they want people just like them, I want to uncover a few things with you right now. Now, for example, I may be a highly relational leader, which in fact I am. If we look at that DISC scale, I'm all relational. But then, I could have someone on my team who is direct, results focused, and maybe even a little rude. Maybe you have someone like that who you feel is a little bit rude. Well, why are they different? The answer lies in the 4 different personality styles that we see. And this dates back to 300 BC. Okay. So this is not new, what I'm sharing with you today. And it's founded in science. But there are 4 unique blends and styles of people in this world that we work with every single day. We have Ds, which are dominant. Think of someone, natural born leader, dominant in your life, on your team. We have the Is, who are very influential. Again, think of someone like that on your team. We have steady ones, steady in nature style people. And we have those who are compliant. You and I are a combination of all of these. However, you and I are mainly dominant in 2. So even though we have all 4, 2 of them really stick out. So I want you to think about your team right now. I want you to think about the place you work and even the people in your life. Who do you know that's direct, confident? They push forward projects. Okay, they keep things moving. They're bold. They're decisive. Those people are on your team, I guarantee you. And those are our D-type people. Now, what about people who are fun, energetic? They're the life of the office. They're inspiring, and you just love having them on your team. Again, you have those people in the workforce and on the team with you, and those are the I-style people in your life. You have S-style people who are loyal. They're dedicated. They are going to be the backbone of any organization. And in fact, 69% of the population are this style of people. I'm an S. I'm an SI. These are S-wired people. And then, have you ever recognized someone maybe who's very neat and organized? They have systems to everything, and they're detail-oriented. They're not looking for the limelight. Those are the people on your team who are your C-style people. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, which one am I? I'm going to help you figure that out. I was working in an organization because I want to share with you how this plays out and why it's important if you're onboarding and helping an organization recruit, or if you're looking to move people in positions. You have to understand human behavior. I was working in an organization, and the COO asked a supervisor to move a heavy set of tiles from one area of the organization to the other. Now, the boss came back 10 minutes later. Nothing was done. Nothing was moved. And so immediately her temperature went up. Okay, you can just imagine. Her temperature went up, and she found another manager and asked them, can you please move this? I need this moved. Now, what she didn't understand was that the original manager that she had asked to move that was a C. That means that manager was sitting in the office. He took 10 minutes to figure out, how am I going to move those tiles? Who am I going to get to help me because it's really heavy? And what is the best path to get there? Because I don't want to ruin this floor if I happen to drop it. Okay, so think about a situation maybe you've been in. Now, he was processing the information, but she came back, made a split rash decision, hurt his feelings, and she was ticked off. You see this every day in organizations. They are not understanding one another's communication style. They're not understanding behavior. All she had to do, and all he had to do if he understood that she was a D type leader, was I need to let her know that I need 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes to figure out how I'm going to do this in the most efficient way and in a way that is not going to hurt anybody or destroy anything along the way. And what she could have done, knowing he was a C, is said, how much time do you need to figure this out, right? Or come back and say, what's going on? Why isn't it moved? That's how we eliminate conflict. That's how we build connected teams. That C, and if you're someone like that who's very systematic and analytical, your feelings would be hurt if someone treated you that way. And you know what happens? You're not going to be productive the rest of the day. You're done. That's it, right? And that's how we disconnect within our teams. And so I want you to go along with me. Please feel free to chat here and let me know. You're waiting for an elevator to open. Who here wishes that there is an elevator full of people? If that's you, then you are probably an outgoing person. Okay, if you're wishing for a full elevator full of people, you're probably outgoing, which means you're maybe a DI personality style. Now let's flip that. You're waiting for the elevator and you're just hoping and praying that no one's in there. You need no one in there because you are too shy, or maybe you just don't feel like talking today. If that's you, you're probably more reserved. Now, this is obviously just an observation with 2 questions, but you may be an SC personality. Going on vacation. Who here wishes for, or is sitting here thinking about the long to-do list that has to get done before you go off on this vacation and enjoy yourself? If that's you, if you're making your list, mow the lawn, take the dog to the vet, do what you have to do, you may be more of a task-oriented person. DC. Now, if you're that person who's just thinking, who's going to be there? How much fun are we going to have? And when is this plane getting here? Okay, you're more of the outgoing, people-oriented person and an IS on the DISC scale. And now I just want you to take a moment and please go thank your friends that are the DCs, because they're the ones who allow you to go on these trips, because you wouldn't get anything done without them. Why is this important that we understand this? You can see just there, I listed 4 different personality styles, 4 different ways of communicating and connecting. Can you see why this is so important in the organizations? Think about your team. And I'm going to end with these few descriptive personalities for you, so you can maybe think into people on your team. Think of goal-oriented, results-focused people, okay? They are natural-born leaders and they're determined. Those are great qualities to have on the team. However, let's think about what happens when you use those too much. If you're using those too much, they become a weakness. Now that leader who you respect for their goal-driven and get things done attitude is walking all over everyone in the team and leaving bodies on the road on its way to the finish line, because all they care about is results. That is a surefire way to kill morale in a team. We don't want teams full of Ds that are doing that. And then what about that fun, loving, spontaneous person on the team that you absolutely adore? Well, that's great. We love those people. But if that's all they do is have fun and talk and, make jokes, they may start to be looked at as a joke. People may think that they're wasting company time. But if we understood, that person needs 5 minutes to connect with the rest of the team members before they go on their day, because that's how they get fueled and that's their motivation to go and deliver results. If you knew that, you would allow that person the 5 minutes of conversation within your team. Think about the person who is the heart of your organization. They're supportive, they're steady, they are team players, and they are loyal, and you absolutely adore them. Too much of that, they allow people to walk all over them. They don't speak up even when they have the answers in a board meeting. And, they won't share ideas because they think no one wants to hear from them. If you understood that about an S-style person, you would be pointing them out and saying, Tessa, we'd love to hear from you because you always have brilliant ideas. And then Finally, our C-type people. They're accurate. They're focused on details. They are the people who will deliver excellent work in your workplace. However, they will also turn that into a weakness by being a perfectionist in their work and expecting perfection from other people. Can you imagine working under a C who doesn't recognize that they are constantly seeking perfection from their team? We all know perfection is unattainable. These are blind spots that we all have. Here's what I know. People are people. We're all different, but we're predictably different. And if we take the time to understand different styles, if we take the time to learn not only what is my style, what am I giving off to people that I work with? What am I giving off to potential employers, right? But also, how can I approach this team member? If we understood that sometimes conflict is just really due to misunderstanding, which we know it's always due to misunderstanding, it's typically due to misunderstanding in our communication. And so, we want to make sure that we're approaching our team members with love and respect. And I'm just going to end with this, and I'm going to give you a few ideas that you can test out right away with your teams. Okay, we're going to start with the D-style person. Think of that person again that's direct, results focused, probably the leader of your team or the manager of your team. When you're approaching them, approach them with confidence. Okay, even if you're not confident, be confident in that conversation. Be direct yourself because they appreciate a direct natured approach. They do not want small talk. So if you feel like maybe your boss doesn't like you because he never wants to talk to you, maybe he's just a D, right? Maybe he is just so focused on that result or the deadline or the things that he's running or chasing that he doesn't realize that he's making you feel that way. So think about that. That team member that's really outgoing on your team and they're, always happy and enthusiastic and maybe they drive you a little crazy. You can try and be enthusiastic yourself with them, okay? Because they love that. They're really just friendly and they want conversation entered through fun and friendship. And so don't worry, just have a conversation with them and relate to them because that's what they want to do. That fuels them. Now, if you're approaching the team member, the S-style person, someone that's on your team who you may consider to be very low-key and quiet, okay? Maybe you think they're shy, they're very reserved. You want to make sure that you're just entering that conversation in a slower pace. Now, if you're a D-style leader, I just want you to know that you and that S-style person make a killer combo. That person is going to want to do nothing but perform their best for you because they want to please you. And so don't look at someone like that on your team who's reserved and quiet as someone who may not be as great at delivering results as someone who is very outgoing and results focused, because that person wants to please you. Once you understand that about your team members, you are going to get the best out of them. And then finally, our C-type people, analytical, perfectionist, detail-oriented, okay? This person, you need to be a little bit different. You want to make sure you're entering the conversation at a slower pace. Don't put a whole bunch of change on their plate. They're not going to respond well to that. But be formal and be proper. No nicknames. Hey, buddy Bob or whatever. They're not really going to jive with that. But just stay focused on the task. Is that procedure done? Is that file done? Small chit chat, but very friendly. And if you take the time to just get to know them, that honestly will just be, such a pleasure for them because they really do enjoy those conversations with their teammates. And so in all of this, the most important thing that we can do as recruiters, as employers, and as team members is understand that if we take time to connect with our people, with all our people, and we take time to understand them, if we practice being authentic with them, even if it's not your style, that's okay. I'm an SI. I'm all relational. I can be direct when I have to be. I can be task-oriented when I have to be. I can modify my behavior in an authentic way. It's not inauthentic, in an authentic way, okay? I guarantee that you'll be able to connect with all of the team members that are on your team, and also bring to the organizations the best team members that are suited for that team. It's not all about power or results focused people filling up a team. So why are you not like me? Because I'm telling you, the world would be boring if it was just full of SIs, okay? And the world would probably be a little too much to handle if it was full of DC style personalities. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to ask or answer those for you. Otherwise, I hope that this added value, and I hope that you can take this into your workplace and apply some of the things that I shared with you today. Alex, I'm not sure if you're here or if you're coming on. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it.
Hi, Tessa. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I just want to say thanks for your presentation. It was really great. Lots of great, interesting information. I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I just had a quick question, I guess. If you could give, maybe one or two key things that you want people to really remember from the presentation, like if there's only one or two things that they'll will stick with them, what would you want it to be?
Oh, you're really putting me on the spot. That's a tough one. Honestly, it communicate to understand. Understand people in order to connect with people. That's really the whole idea behind the work that we do. And even, what we were talking about today when we talk about diversity, if there's no understanding, then there's no way we're going to move forward in any of those relationships. And so if there's one thing, no matter what role you're in, whether you work for an organization or you're the leader of the organization, really make sure that you're communicating with people with the intent of understanding them, right? Not just getting them to take on your thoughts, but really to just turn I like to have the beach ball, and just turn that beach ball a little bit and have the conversation so you can start understanding where people are coming from.
Awesome. Yeah, that's some great advice. Well, thanks again for your presentation. It was really great. If people want to get in touch with you after the event, what's the best way? LinkedIn or email or?
Yeah, they can LinkedIn and email as well, which is just Tessa at tessakampen.com. Sorry, Tessa. Yeah, that's my email. That's my website. Tessa, but Tessa at tessakampen.com or at gmail.com. Sorry.
Great. Well, thanks again, Tessa. It was great having you speak again. And just to let everyone know, no problem. So our main stage panel is actually going to be starting in just about a minute or two, and that'll just go until the end of the event at 4. But thanks again. It was really great.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.